Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji Dandat Pranam. Thank you very much for joining this session today. Thank you, Shilpa Mataji, for giving me this opportunity. We'll start with a small bhajan and then we'll go into the class. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radha Gopi Vallabha Radhe Jaya Radha Neel Madhav Radha Neel Madhav Radhe Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Krishna Jaya Krishna Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol प्रणाम संकीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय Start with your prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narancheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktit Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namah Pankajanabhaya Namah Pankajamaline Namah Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गोब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्पुरातं हम वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम् ओम पवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थाङ्गतोऽपि वा स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं सबाह्याभ्यन्तरं शुचि श्री विष्णु Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji, can you hear me? Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji, we can hear
Oh,
you.
and
Yes,
you could
Prabhu,
feel,
we can hear you.
yeah, because didn't hear anybody repeat after me, so I was wondering. And you can see the screen also, right? The one that I presented, the slokas.
No.
Yeah.
No, the one that I presented just now. Okay, let me check. Let me present again.
Yeah, you can see.
You can see Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji Mataji Dandavat Pranam. Today I was asked to take up Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, from 61 to 80. Actually, Canto 7 is one of my favorite cantos. And I was just service. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I was just given a service of doing some other slokas a few weeks back. And I'm fortunate enough to take up some more session, some more verses this week as well. And especially the last chapter is very philosophical, very deeply philosophical. Yesterday I was just reading the 61 to 80, verse 60, almost 50, around 50 to 70 are very, very deeply philosophical. I was struggling to understand those, and I was trying to listen to some other sessions, some other lectures given by Lord of Prabhujis and Maharajas, and they're wonderfully explained there. So I've been asked to do 20 verses today, Around 10 verses will be very philosophical, and last 10 verses will be Narada Muni's story about how, he was a Gandharva in his previous life and was cursed to become cursed to become born in a maid servant family, Sudra family, and how he got the association of saintly devotees and become Narada Muni. Okay, so we'll mostly spend time on the first 10 slokas, which is where the deep philosophy is there, and the rest of the 10 slokas will go very fast because it's a story. So I was asked to start from 61, but I'm going to start from 59 because we need to have some kind of background on like what's happening here. This canto specifically is a conversation between Narada Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj during Rajasuya Yajna, and Yudhishthira Maharaj asks a lot of questions, and they've been nicely answered by Narada Muni. And the name of the chapter is Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, right? So the instructions are given for us how to live in this life, Krishna consciousness as a goal, and how we can go back to the Godhead. And so Prabhupada focuses on that aspect a lot. Okay, let's start with Shloka 59, and then we'll continue for further. 59. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. In this world, there are 5 elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. But the body is not a reflection of them, nor a combination or a transformation of them. Because the body and its ingredients are neither distinct nor amalgamated, all such theories are insubstantial. So Prabhupada actually in some of the slokas also is going to negate the Mayavadi philosophy here, and very subtly, and mostly focus on Bhakti philosophy and how we should reach back to Godhead. And he gives wonderful examples. And while reading these slokas and preparing for these classes, I found a wonderful website. I don't know how many people of you know, Srimad Bhagavatam lectures.com. Actually, typically I search in YouTube and for a particular verse and I find 1 or 2. But if you go to Srimad Bhagavatam lectures.com, every verse you'll find one at least more than 1 classes. Because you typically not every verse is given as a class, but I found at least 5-6 lectures for each of the verses from the website, and nicely articulated and arranged. So if you are in need at any point of time, I should go and visit that site and listen to the lectures. Srimad Bhagavatam lectures.com. Purport. A forest is certainly a transformation of earth, but one tree does not depend on the other tree. If one is cut down, this does not mean the others are cut down. Therefore, the forest is neither a combination nor a transformation of trees. The best explanation is given by Krishna himself. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani na chaham teshva avastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Bhagavad Gita 9.4. Everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. As it is said, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. The Lord has multiple energies which are expressed in different ways. The energies are existing, and Supreme Personality of Godhead also exists simultaneously. Because everything is his energy, he is simultaneously one with everything and different from everything. Thus, our speculative theory is that Atma, the living force, is a combination of matter, that matter is a transformation of the soul, or the body is the part of the soul, are all insubstantial. Since all the Lord's energy is simultaneously existing, one must understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But although he is everything, he is not present in everything. The Lord must be worshipped in his original form as Krishna. He can also present himself in any of his various expanded energies. When we worship the deity of the Lord in the temple, the deity appears to be stone or wood. Now, because the Supreme Lord does not have a material body, he is not stone or wood. Yet stone and wood are non-different from him. Thus, by worshipping stone or wood, we get no result. But when the stone and wood are represented in the Lord's original form, by worshipping the deity, we get the desired result. This is supported by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, Achintya Abheda Abheda Tattva, which explains how the Lord can present himself everywhere and anywhere in a form of his energy to accept services from the devotees. Hare Krishna. So here, Prabhupada, here actual translation explains about the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, and ether. And it is being told that the body is neither not a reflection or a combination or a transformation. What does it mean is, body is made up of these elements, but it is not a reflection of them or amalgamation of them. That means it's independent, right? And because the Mayavadis kind of say that, it's the same. They say body is the matter and soul is also matter. That's what they say. But that is not correct. How? One example is given here. A forest is made up of trees. Forest is made up of all trees, but each tree is independently growing. They have their own individuality. Like that, God has his energies inbuilt in this material world, and they're all independent to each other, right? If one tree is cut down, does not mean that other trees are also cut down, right? It's just that one tree is cut down. So the forest is neither a combination or transformation of the trees. It is made up of trees and they are independently growing, right? So in this sloka, Maya Tatam Idam Sarvam, by me, by my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. How? We know that Paramatma is in everybody's heart, but how is he saying he's not in them? There's a confusion here. There is no confusion. What he's saying is, I am not, personally, I'm not there everywhere, right? I'm there, but I'm not there. In a sense, he's all pervading. The reason for that is because Mayavadis think that, God is everywhere. Why to go to temple? God is in this stone also, in this wood also. I don't need to go to temple. So that's what they say. But Prabhupada is saying I think he takes a very good example of a king. A king in his kingdom, he runs the whole kingdom with his energies. That means he kind of, establishes ministry, establishes different departments that work, for him. But king doesn't personally come and serve each one of the praja, right? Just like a PM does not come and give you the tax bills, or he doesn't collect taxes, but he sets up the whole system. So interact with the energies of the king and energies of the PM. Just like that, Krishna creates the entire material world, gives all the energies to the demigods to run the system, but he personally is not present. He doesn't need to be present, right? So that is the perfect example of that. All beings are in me. Everything is dependent on him. Everything is, balanced on him, but he's not in them, right? Everything is a Krishna's energy, right? And multiple energies are there, and they're expressed in different ways. Energy and energetic, right? Energies are coming from energetic. Their energies are existing, and they exist simultaneously because everything is energy. But so thus, speculative theories that Atma is a combination of matter, matter is transformation of the soul, or the body is part of the soul, are insubstantial. This is clearly told by this purport that, this philosophy of Atma is a combination of matter is not correct. Even in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, Krishna says, okay, you are telling that, I will kill all my kin and kith, and, I don't want to do that. But even if you think, and then because he's trying to explain the theory of soul, even if you think that the matter, it's fine, because matter is matter anyways, and you are establishing the dharma, and that's what you're doing. So Krishna also gives examples in chapter 2 regarding the same. Right? So this is, a philosophy that negates that, Atma is not combination of matter. Matter is matter, Atma is spiritual, and it, Atma is bounded or covered by the body as a covering, right? So the second paragraph is telling, since all the large energies are simultaneously existing, one must understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is everything, he is not present in everything, right? And he must be worshipped in his original form of Krishna. Why? Because that is the only way we can do the service to the Lord, right? If you have a stone or a wood, we don't get that relation, with that kind of matter. It's very difficult to understand. It's very, very abstract. We need concrete examples to understand things and follow. That is why in Bhagavatam, the examples are given of great devotees, how they have established, how they have performed bhakti using the principles of Bhagavad Gita and have gone back to Godhead. It's very difficult for us to understand abstract philosophy. So that is why, Prabhupada has given us the form of deity worship, because then you can see Krishna in a form where you can serve him. You can nicely decorate him. You can nicely offer bhoga to him. You can have a temple where, a temple can be decorated nicely, right? And then you do prana pratishtha. Actually, any deity is made up of only wood or stone. But you do prana pratishtha and you bring Krishna and you invite him into the deity, and that's why it's not called idol or statue, because they don't have prana in them, they don't have Krishna in them. But when you do prana pratishtha, it is Swayam Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, Swayam Radha standing in front of you. And a lot of people, when they worship, they talk to Krishna, they talk to Radharani. All Maharajas and even Srila Prabhupada, when he has gone to many temples, he used to make comments saying that why is Lord Krishna is a little thin and he's not happy. Means they talk to the deities and they know how they're being served. Prabhupada once went to a temple and called the main pujari and asked him, what's happening? I see Krishna is becoming thin, from the last time I saw. That was very surprising to the pujari. And he called the main temple president and asked what's happening. The temple president said, Prabhupada, we don't have enough money to offer all 6 bhogas. We're only offering 3 bhogas. Prabhupada chastised him, saying that no, even if you have to eat one time, you have to give bhoga to Krishna all 6 times. And even Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, when he came to ISKCON Abed's temple, he called the main pujari and told Radharani is very happy with the Mahaprasad bhoga. That means all these pure devotees, they can talk to the deities and they can exchange views, exchange. They can understand what's happening there. So that is why deity worship is given in a very higher standard to all of us. And that gives us a service. That gives us service to our hands, to our all the senses, so that we can engage our senses to the highest, higher than what we normally engage our senses to. And that is how we should take it. And this is also the example of Achintya Bheda Atva, simultaneously one and different. Krishna is same, and Krishna is in every living being and every non-living being, but at the same time is different because Krishna comes personally into the deity, and then we worship him, right? And then he comes in the form of energy to accept the services of his devotees, right? So that is 59. Let's go to 60. Text 60. Can somebody read this translation, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. Because the body is formed of the 5 elements, it cannot exist without the subtle sense objects. Therefore, since the body is false, the sense objects are also naturally false or temporary. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So here what the translation is saying is, body is formed of 5 elements. It cannot exist without a subtle sense objects. We have the soul, the subtle body, and the gross body, right? The sense objects are subtle, and then that means because the body is false, sense objects are also naturally false or temporary, right? What is being told here is the material world is temporary. It is real, but it is temporary. Similarly, the body is temporary. The subtle sense objects also are temporary, right? We continue. We'll know more what this means in the next sloka. 61. Can somebody read the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Translation of by Srila Prabhupada. When a substance and its parts are separated, the acceptance of similarity between one and the other is called illusion. While dreaming, one creates a separation between the existence called wakefulness and sleep. It is in such a state of mind that the regulative principles of the scriptures, consisting of injunctions and prohibitions, are recommended.
Hare Krishna. Let's read it again. When a substance and parts are separated, the acceptance of similarity between one and the other is called illusion. While dreaming, one creates a separation between the existence called wakefulness and sleep. In such a state of mind, the regulative principles of scriptures consisting of injunctions and prohibited are recommended. Purport. Can somebody read the purport?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhuji, can you zoom a little? Like the words are very small.
1 second, Mataji. But
Yes.
better now?
Yeah. Purport. In material existence, there are many regulative principles and formalities. If material existence is temporary or false, this does not mean that the spiritual world, although similar, is also false. That one's material body is false or temporary does not mean that the body of the Supreme Lord is also false or temporary. The spiritual world is real and the material world is similar to it. For example, in the desert, we sometimes find a mirage, but although the water is a mirage is false, this does not mean that there is no water in reality. Water exists, but not in the desert. Similarly, nothing is real in this material world, but reality is in the spiritual world. The Lord's form and his abode, Golaka Vrindavan in the Vaikuntha planets, are eternal realities. From Bhagavad Gita, we understand that there is another Prakriti or nature which is real. This is explained by the Lord himself in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 8.19 to 21. भूतग्रामस एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यहर आगमे परस्तस्मात् तु भावोऽन्यो व्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तस्तम् आहुः परमां गतिम् यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम paramam mama. Again and again, the day of Brahma comes and all living beings are active. And again, the night falls. O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. That supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible, and it is a supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. The material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is temporary or false, but the spiritual world is an eternal reality. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in this sloka, in this purport, the main focus is to distinguish between material world and spiritual world. Just because of some examples like a mirage in the desert, right? There is a mirage in the desert, right? And people from far away, you can see there is a water, but there is no water there. But really, is there no water at all? No, water is there, but not in the mirage. Just like that, there is spiritual world, and it is it's permanent, and there is material world that is temporary, and it is true. It is not that it is false, right? That's what a lot of people think. If the material existence is temporary or false, it does not mean the spiritual world similar is also false, right? Material. So if there is similarity between two things, it doesn't mean both have similar qualities, right? Both might be similar, but it's a reflection, right? The material world is a reflection of spiritual world, but it doesn't mean whatever material world's qualities are is same as spiritual world's qualities. No, that's not true, right? Material world is temporary. It is created for us because we revolted from Krishna, and he created a material world for us to come and get reformed. But it is temporary. It's not permanent, and that's why annihilation happens, right? At the end of Brahma's day and Brahma's night, annihilation happens. remind that this is not permanent, and everything goes back to Krishna and suspended temporarily. And when Brahma, day begins, everything comes back with the glance of Lord Narayana, right? But spiritual world is real. It's always there. It's always there, and it's real, right? They are all real entities. So and Bhagavad Gita also explains about this para prakriti and apara prakriti, right? Para prakriti is spiritual world, apara prakriti is material world. And it is from 8.1921, all these shlokas are describing the same thing. Again and again, Brahma days comes, again night falls, and everything is dissolved. But there is another nature. He's clearly telling in Bhagavad Gita that the material world is not the only place. There is another place where everything is permanent and everything is eternal and transcendental, right? And it is never annihilated. When everything is annihilated in this material world, that spiritual world still stays. And oh Partha, if you come to that material world, you will never come back, right? If you come back to me, there is no going back to material world, right? The material world is a reflection of spiritual world. It's temporary, false, but spiritual world is eternal reality. It's also explained in the same, it's also explained about dreaming and wakefulness in sleep, right? And these are the three, wakefulness, sleeping and dreaming. There are three different existences, right? When you're in the material world, when you have a human body, you go to sleep, and in the sleep you get dreams. Is the dream a reality? No, right? In the dream you might be, chased by a tiger, or you might be in a frightened mode, but the moment you wake up, you feel relieved because there is no real tiger, because it's just a dream. Just like that, this material, whatever we are existing, the existence of the material world also is a dream, but it is a longer dream, right? Everything is relative, male, female, living, a small living entity, a non-living entity, all are temporary. They're all, again, part of a longer dream, which is the dream will end when the annihilation happens. So that means the real dream that we get is a dream in a dream, right? It's a longer dream where we are doing these temporary activities, and annihilation happens, everything goes back. And while we are here, we are dreaming. So it's a kind of a dream in a dream, right? So we need to understand that, we are in a dream in this material world, wake up, understand Krishna consciousness, understand that, we should not get attached to anything here, and it is temporary, and utilize the paraphernalia that is given by Krishna to go back to Godhead. That is the ultimate understanding of this philosophy, right? Use the paraphernalia, use the energies given by Krishna to understand the Supreme Lord, understand the Supreme World, and go back to Him. That is the knowledge we need to get, and that is why we are so fortunate to get this knowledge from ISKCON, because this knowledge is not given anywhere else. This deep knowledge, this deep understanding of each sloka, I have not seen anywhere. It's so mesmerizing. I heard at least 4 or 5 lectures from Sankarshan Prabhu, Andramodi Maharaj, in ISKCON Chowpatty. There are at least 4 or 5 lectures on this one sloka, or at least all these slokas that I'm listening to. It's amazing. Each sloka they gave 1 hour lecture, 1 hour lecture on this. This kind of understanding is not given in any philosophy. This kind of details are not given in any philosophy. And everything goes back to very simple philosophy, that we are this body, we are not soul. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. There is a spiritual world out there. We are here temporarily living. Utilize the body, utilize the energies here, and go back to God. That's it. Everything culminates into that energy. We don't need to really break our heads understanding all other philosophies. What does it mean? What is this letter? What does this word mean? So that's why, even though the translation is very difficult to understand, look at the purport Prabhupada gave. It's so nice to understand what he's telling and how can we understand this, right? We don't need to really go into deep, every line, every word, what does this mean and all that stuff. The purport tells it all. It summarizes. Summum bonum is in the purport. Very nicely Prabhupada puts it in every shloka, every purport. Right? That's it. That's so simple, right? Let's go to the next shloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, చిన్న confusion Prabhuji. అంటే is it temporary or illusion? There is a, how do we take? Because mirage is a illusion, but we are saying that material world is a temporary. When we are comparing that with mirage is a illusion. అంటే then it becomes like Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya అన్న type లో అద్వైత philosophy లాగా వచ్చేస్తుంది కదా ప్రభుజీ ఇక్కడ.
No, Prabhuji, what is illusion here? So the example of mirage is given because he's comparing with the material world and spiritual world, right? So what is told there is mirage. From the distance, you can see that there is water in there. But when you go near, what you conclude, there is no water. But what you conclude permanently is there is no water at all, right? So being in the material world, you cannot conclude there is no spiritual world at all because you don't know what spiritual world is, right? Because Bhagavad Gita, it says spiritual world, material world is a reflection of spiritual world. Just like that. It's an analogy given here. Right? But how to understand that? One example is given that, hey, in mirage, you see water, but when you go near that, there is no water at all. Right? That is an illusion, that there is no water. But you can conclude permanently that there is no water at all. There is water, but not in the mirage. It's somewhere else, like, in a lake, non-desert place. Right? So that thing we need to understand here is about the difference between spiritual world and material world. The Mahayana is conclude that there is no material world, there is no spiritual world, or even other vadis, whatever vadis they are. A lot of people argue that there is nothing else after you die, right? It is the end of it, and you enjoy whatever it is, right? But Krishna is clearly telling there is spiritual world, but how to understand that? How to know that there is spiritual world, right? That Krishna himself is telling that there is spiritual world, and I reside in there. It's called Golak Vrindavan, and when you come back, you don't fall down again. The example that is given is yes, that it's there, but it's just that you cannot see it, right? It's not there. It doesn't mean that it is not there at all. It's there. It is somewhere else. It is somewhere else, and you have to find where that is, and that you can find it through your bhakti. That you can understand through your Guru Maharaj. That you can understand through the through the activities that you do in Krishna consciousness, right? The material world is temporary, but it is kind of illusion. Illusion meaning like it's like, the bondings that we have, they're all temporary, right? You cannot think that it's permanent. It's like, yes, the wall is there. It's hard you hit to it, but is it there after some time? No, it is not there after few years. It is not there. It is temporary. So that is how you should understand it. It's not illusion. Doesn't mean that it's like, it's Maya and there's nothing else. It's like there is still wall there. But specifically here, it is that comparison is given between the spiritual and material world. Right?
Okay.
In those two.
So temporary is material world is temporary and material world is real. Can we say material world is also real?
Yes, it is real. See, that's what we say. See, that the example is not given for thinking that it's illusion. It's real, but it is temporary.
Okay.
Yeah, but the understanding we should have it is say this is all temporary. We should not get attached to it, and we should always strive to go back to Krishna by following the regulative principles.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Right. Hare Krishna. Can somebody read 62, please? Translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I can read.
Yes.
Translation. After considering the oneness of existence, activity, and paraphernalia, and after realizing the self to be different from all actions and reactions, the mental speculator Muni, according to his own realization, gives up the three states of wakefulness and dreaming and sleep. Purport: the three words
Bhavadvaita, Kriyadvaita, Dravyadvaita
are explained in the following verses. However, one has to give up all the non-duality of philosophical life in the material world and come to the actual life of reality in spiritual world in order to attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Again, deep philosophy is coming, for you. I'll try to explain as much as possible, but again, it's all the conclusion of all these things is spiritual world is the permanent place, and that's where we need to go back. Okay. So the translation kind of tells, I kind of explained the three states before. Wakefulness, when you are awake right now, like I'm awake. In the night, you sleep. That's the second state. In the sleep, you get a dream. That's the third state. What we all need to do is understand that these three states very, very clearly, right? What is wakeful state, what is dreaming, what is sleep, and what is dreaming state. And once we understand these three very clearly, then you should really think that this is a place we need to be really awakened. The awakening has to happen really inside you, thinking that this is not the place for you, right? Because as I told, there's a longer dream and a shorter dream. Longer dream is you being in the material world in a body, in a human body, or a living being, other living being's body. It is temporarily. You are there for some time, and then you take another body based on whatever your previous karma is. Right? That realization we should have. And again, in this dream, there's another dream. When you sleep, you get another dream, right? Just like a dream, when you get a dream in your material body is temporary. Similarly, the dream that you are in, the material world you are in, is also a dream that is a longer dream. The moment you understand that, right? The moment you realize that, you should give up these three states of wakefulness, dreaming, and sleep and get out of this material world. That is the meaning of this, right? And how do we do that? We should understand the oneness of existence and use the activity and paraphernalia, right? The activities that we do and whatever is available to you, you should use them and go back, right? And that is being explained in the next three slokas and being called as Bhavadvaita, right? Oneness in thinking, Kriyadvaita, oneness in doing, and Dravyadvaita, oneness in utilizing the surrounding things. However, one has to give up all non-duality of philosophical life in the material world and come to actual life of reality in the spiritual world in order to attain perfection. So what's the perfection of life? To go back to Godhead, to go back to spiritual world. How? By giving up the non-duality of philosophical life in material world, right? So we are the material body, and we are different from the soul, and soul is eternal, body is temporary, right? And we should give up that, understand that there is permanent life and permanent world in the spiritual world, and go back to that by getting rid of this these three states, and realizing that these three states are temporary, right? So let's go to 63. Anybody can read translation for 63, please?
Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhu.
I'll read.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Where one understands that results and cause are one and the duality is ultimately unreal, like the idea that the threads of a cloth are different from the cloth itself, one reaches the conception of oneness called Bhavadvaita.
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 Bhava Advaita. So actually, again, this Bhava Advaita means oneness in thinking. Let me read the translation again. When one understands the result and cause are one, and the duality is ultimately unreal, like the idea that the threads of the cloth are different from the cloth itself, one reaches the conception of oneness called Bhavadvaita, right? The example that is given is, see, when there is a cloth, for example, some silk cloth and all that, right? There is edges. And sometimes the thread, you can take out the thread, right? From that, because it's woven, right? It is woven like this, horizontally and vertically. And at the edges, like, the threads are like, hanging around. Sometimes what happens, like, you take out this thread, it keeps coming out, and you pull it out and it just goes back and forth, and it completely removes it. And at the end, if you could completely remove it, there's nothing left, right? The thread is gone, there is nothing left. But you cannot conclude that, because there is no thread, there is no cloth, right? The thread is the one that is making the cloth. But when the thread is removed, there is nothing left. It doesn't mean there's no cloth is not there. Cloth is there, but it only when the thread is woven, right? That is the example that is given, right? And that is the, called Bhavadvaita. In the thinking that, oneness is there. There is one Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you have to go back to Him, right? This is what it is. And more explanation is given in the Kriyadvaita and Dravyadvaita. That's where we should focus more on. That's why the purport is also not given here. So we should go and read more about Kriyadvaita because that's where our activity starts. It's very difficult to understand Bhavadvaita because in thinking, it's very difficult to think, in the conception of oneness in thinking. But Kriyadvaita is very easy to understand because there is activity, right? We all need activity to, understand, realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's go to the Kriyadvaita and Dravyadvaita to understand this philosophy more. Yeah. Can somebody read this translation? Hare Krishna.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Matuj.
Yeah, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Yudhishthira Partha, my dear Yudhishthira Partha, when all the activities one performs with his mind, words, and body are dedicated directly to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one reaches oneness of activities called Kriyadvaita. Shall I read the purport, Prabhuji?
Yes, Matuj, continue.
The Krishna consciousness movement is teaching people how to come to the stage of dedicating everything to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.27, Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. If whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we think, and whatever we plan is for the advancement of the Krishna consciousness movement, this is oneness. There is no difference between chanting for Krishna consciousness and working for Krishna consciousness. On the transcendental platform, they are one. But we must be guided by the spiritual master about the oneness. One should not manufacture our own oneness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful, wonderful purport. So Kriyadvaita is very beautifully explained here. If one performs his activities with his mind, words, and body, dedicated directly to service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, one reaches oneness of activities. Kayana vacha manasendreva buddhyatmanava prakriti swabhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayati samarpayami. Whatever you do with your mind, words, and body are dedicated to Krishna only, and we offer it to Krishna. And in Bhagavad Gita, it is very clearly told, Yad karoshi yad dasnashi yad jushoshi dadashi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurishva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me. So very, very nicely explained and clearly told that whatever you do for Krishna, right? Whatever you eat prasadam only. Whatever austerities you perform, offer it to him. Whatever is done, think of Krishna all the time. Keep Krishna in the center. If you do that, right, that is called oneness. That's when you advance in Krishna conscious movement, right? At a very high level, there is no difference between chanting and working for Krishna consciousness. Very, very high level in a transcendental platform. They're all one. But we will do both. You cannot say, I'll just only chant, right? Or I'll only work for Krishna. I'll do just service. We'll do both. That is why it's very important to get the guidance from spiritual master here. The oneness here can also be misunderstood as merging into Krishna or, being one with Krishna. That is why Prabhupada clearly is calling out that understanding oneness has to be done very carefully under the guidance of a spiritual master. You cannot do your own mental concoction. What is mental concoction? Mental concoction is inside my mind thinking that this is according to me, like this is what I think, right? Two negatives make it a positive, things like that, right? Lot of thoughts come in your mind. That is called mental concoction. And it is mentioned many, many places in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Don't use it mental concoction. Always take the guidance of a Guru Maharaj, right? If you don't, that's why even reading purports on your own is also very, very sometimes dangerous because you don't understand many of these things. You have to listen to a Guru Maharaj or somebody who gave a lecture because they explain, they understand, they're Tattvajnani, they're Tattvavetas. They listen from Prabhupada, they read so many other things. They have the realization of these things. So that is why you must have a Guru. Under the guidance of Guru, you should, perform these activities and understand this very, 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 very carefully. Our own concoction, our own understanding is also very dangerous. That's why it's important for us to listen to more lectures of these kind. I strongly urge all of you to go back and listen to the lectures given for each of these slokas, right? I could listen to some of them, but I'm planning to do more of this. But this is very deep philosophy, right? We should really go into the roots and understand these things. But look at Prabhupada, his simply putting the purport so that we can easily understand, right? That is Acharya, that is our Acharya, right? So Kriyadvaita here means very clearly is telling, utilize, do all the activities, for Krishna, and in everything that you do, put Krishna in the center, and then, and do it at the higher level of platform, in the transcendental platform, right? Here, Yudhishthira is also called Partha because he is also son of Prithi, which is Kunti Maharani, right? All the sons of Kunti Maharani can be called as Parthas, right? And it is clearly told, whatever activities you do with your mind, words, and body, dedicate them to the service of Supreme Lord. And that is Krishna consciousness as put together. Very clearly it is told, right? So that is Kriya Advaita. Let's go to Dravya Advaita. Can somebody read the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the ultimate goal and interest of oneself, one's self, one's wife, one's children, one's relatives, and all other embodies living beings is one, this is called Dravyadvaita, or oneness of interest. Purport. The actual interest of all living entities, indeed, the goal of life, is to return home back to Godhead. This is interest of one's own self, one's wife, one's children, one's disciples, and one's friend, relatives, countrymen, and all humanity. The Krishna consciousness movement can give directions for management by which everyone can pre-take partake partake in Krishna consciousness activity and reach the ultimate goal, which is known as Sar, Swartha Gatim. This objective of everyone's interest is Vishnu. But because people do not know this, Nate Viduhu Swartha Gatim Vishnu. They are making various plans by which to fulfill so many concocted interests in life. The Krishna conscious movement is trying to bring everyone to the highest interest. The process may be differently named, but if the aim is one, people should follow it to achieve the ultimate goal in life. Unfortunately, people are thinking of different interests, and blind leaders are misleading them. Everyone is trying to reach the goal of complete happiness materially because people do not know what complete happiness is. They are materially diverted towards different interests. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this shloka is going to talk about Dravya Advaita. When ultimate goal of an interest of oneself, one's wife, one's children, one's relatives, and all other embodied living beings is one, that is called Dravya Advaita, or oneness of interest. Right now we are talking about different relations, people, living beings in this material world. The actual interest of all living entities, indeed, the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead. This is the interest of oneself, wife, children, disciples, friends, relatives, countrymen, all humanity. The Krishna conscious movement can give directions for management by which everyone can partake in Krishna conscious activities and reach the ultimate goal. This is called Swarthagatin. So the way to think about Dravyadvaita is everyone's goal. May it be family members, may it be country people, may it be other living beings, should be returning back to Godhead. How to do that? Clearly explained, or clearly the actual way of doing this is given in Krishna conscious movement, right? We use our energies to serve the Lord in different ways, right? We should not make our own individual plans, right? We should not have our own individual interests. All our interests collectively should be going back to Godhead. That is why, a family, that prays together stays together, right? In the family, everybody should be Krishna consciousness. It will be difficult to have one person in KC and not other persons, because it's difficult to understand, what the person is doing and how they're behaving and how they're acting. But if everybody in the family is understanding this philosophy, it's very easy for all of the people to progress in Krishna consciousness, right? This Dravyadvaita advocates that everybody in this material world should be having one and only goal, one and only interest, that they should not have our own interests, because we have the free will. We should not use the free will to have our own interests. We should have one aim to go back to Godhead, right? There may be different processes, right? I know there are even Bhagavad Gita gives different processes of going back to Him, right? We have the karma yoga, we have the jnana yoga, and we have bhakti yoga. But the goal should be one, going back to the Godhead. And out of all, Prabhupada and Lord Sri Krishna clearly explains that bhakti yoga, path of bhakti is easy. It is the fastest way to go back to Krishna and more efficient and the better way to go back to Krishna. But the goal should be the same, right? We should all reach and strive to the goal of having happiness eternally, completely, being happy, complete happiness eternally. We should not strive for material happiness, right? So because people don't know what real happiness is, what people think happiness is temporary, whatever they think happiness is temporary. Like if I get a job, I'll be happy. If my daughter is getting married, I'll be happy. If my kid gets good marks in the school, I'll be happy. If I get a promotion, I'll be happy. People think that is happiness, but that is a temporary happiness. And that is only lasts for some time. After that, again, you will have to, work for more and try to get more, more promotions in the office, can continue working. You have to continuously satisfy your boss. There is no end to it. There is release after release. There is, new product after new product. Should continuously satisfy your boss. You should continuously satisfy your employees. There is no end to it. But the happiness that you get in the spiritual world is permanent. People should understand that there is happiness out there apart from this material world and strive towards that, right? And that should be interest of everyone. Everybody in this material world, and that is how we should get diverted, to that kind of interest, not the material interest. Our interest should be Krishna consciousness, and it is very nicely given by ISKCON for all of us in what should be our real interest, right? So that is called Dravyadvaita.
ద్రవ్యం అంటే ధనం అని వస్తుంది కదా ఇక్కడ. ద్రవ్యం అంటే
Dravya here is interest, Prabhu. It's interest. It's okay. Here, what is it written? Interest here. See, the meaning is given. Dravyadvaita, oneness of interest. The meaning here.
Okay.
So Sanskrit words have a lot of synonyms, Prabhu. Dravyam is dhanam also interest also, right? So one of the meanings of dravya is dhanam. One of them, and then the actual meaning is interest, the interest of somebody.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Can somebody read the translation for 66, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Shall I read?
Yes, Mataj.
Yeah. Translation. In normal conditions, in the absence of danger, O King of Yudhishthira, a man should perform his prescribed activities according to his status of life, with the things, endeavors, process, and living place that are not forbidden for him, and not by any other means.
Continue, Mataj. Purport.
Yeah, purport. This instruction is given for men in all states of life. Generally, society is divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, Brahmacharis, Vanaprastha, Sannyasis, and Grihasthas. Everyone must act according to his position and try to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For that will make one's life successful. This was instructed in Naimisharanya. Atha Pumbe Dvijasteshta Varnashrama Vibhagasya Swanustitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. O best among the twice born. It is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, dharma, according to caste divisions in order of life, is to please the Lord Hari. Bhagavatam 1.2.13. Everyone should act according to his occupational duties, just to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then everyone will be happy.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So in this 66, right? In this purport, it's the previous philosophy is continued, and Narada Muni is telling Yudhishthira, one should pursue their interests or the work according to the prescribed duties. It's called the prescribed dharma. How? By, because Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita that Chaturvarna Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashaha. I created Varnas, right? What are the Varnas? Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And there are 4 ashramas, Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, and Grihastha. All these are created by me so that each and every one, the society, can act according to his position and tries to please the Supreme Lord, right? All 4 Varnas have been given different roles and activities so that according to their nature, the physiological nature, they can do activities to go back to Krishna, right? It is not to, elevate a Varna and, demean one other Varna. No. For example, Brahmanas, by guna, by their character, are very humble and very soft people, but they are very good at knowledge. They have a lot of knowledge and they're very good at preaching. They can make people understand the philosophy very nicely with examples. And the prescribed duty of Brahmana is to give this knowledge to everyone. That's why in previous Vedic culture, every king has a Purohita, a Brahmana with him, who used to guide the king in this knowledge. And a Brahmana never begs. He never, accumulates any wealth. Whatever is needed is given by the king, right? The house, food, everything is taken care by the king. The only duty of Brahmana is to do his duties every day, Sandhyavandanam, his puja and everything, and distribute the knowledge to everyone, the highest knowledge, and how to go back to Godhead, right? That is his prescribed duty. And doing that, he has to go back to Godhead. Similarly, Kshatriya's duty is to protect the people, protect his praja. And he is very chivalrous, he is very, well-built. He's, he is not afraid of anything. He's ready to go, battle and protect his subjects. But he's guided by the Brahmana, right? By doing that duty, he can go back to Godhead. Vaishyas are protector of cows, mercantile, and they are the ones that are helping the people in the kingdom to prosper, to have food to eat, to have milk, so that they can get nourished. Right? That is their duty. By doing that duty, they are liberated, very strictly. And Shudras are the working class men. They are the people who work. They're very loyal to their master. And they're like, they're always, engaged in work, in duty. So doing that, so all these 4 Varnas together in a society, helping each other, can go back to Krishna. There is no need to, think and worry about what is my nature, how is it helping me and all this stuff. It is very clear what are the natures and how you should utilize your nature to perform the duties of Krishna consciousness, right? So Swadharma is very important, right? We should never go to Paradharma. But unfortunately, what is happening right now, in Kali Yuga, Brahmana is not a real Brahmana. Brahmanas are acting like Sudras, working in software companies, right? So they're not, but at least we should, that is the nature of Kali Yuga. We cannot help it, because there is the circumstances are not going to help. But we should utilize our original nature to do activities in Krishna consciousness, like understanding the scriptures, teaching the scriptures to your family, teaching this to other people, while doing your duties, right? You are a grihastha, so you have to take care of your family, so you have to do some job. So even though it is not, the real, nature of a Brahmana, people are working because, you have to work to earn money to live in this world and take care of your family. But you can always learn the scriptures, understand them, and give it to people, give it to other people. That you can continue doing that, right? According to the time, place, circumstance, you should do it. But we should always, this is the ideal way of doing your duties. Each one do their prescribed duties, right? And please Lord Hari, right? This is what is told in Bhagavatam also in 1.2.13. Then everybody will be happy. So if they do their own duty, everybody is happy. If they're doing somebody else's duty, you will be unhappy. And that's what is told very clearly in this sloka. 4 to 67. Can somebody read the translation, please? And translation and purport both.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. O King, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as other instructions given in the Vedic literature. Just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna, thus even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. Purport. The ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, Krishna. Therefore, either by Vedic regulative principle or by materialistic activities, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna, that is the perfection of life. Krishna should be the target. Everyone should try to reach Krishna from any position of life. Krishna accepts service from anyone. The Lord says in Bhagavatam 9.32, Mamihi partha vyapristhya ye api suya papa yonyaha istriyo vaishya tatha sudra te api yanti param gatim. O son of Partha, those who take shelter in me, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower worth, women, Vaishya, merchants, as well as Sudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. It does not matter what one's position is. If one aims at reaching Krishna by performing his occupational duty under the direction of the spiritual master, his life is successful. It is not that only sannyasis, banprasthas, and brahmacharis can reach Krishna. A grasta, a householder, can also reach Krishna, provided he becomes a pure devotee without material desire. An example of this is cited in this next verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in the continuation from the previous verse, Narada Muni is telling to Yudhishthira Maharaj, if one could perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as the other instructions given in the Vedic literature, just to remain as a devotee of Lord Krishna, thus even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. Okay? So there are, there are 4 varnas, there are 4 ashramas, but there are, what about, can everybody go back to Godhead? Of course, yes. Even if you are staying at home, of course, yes. Right? So, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna, that's the perfection of life. Like, how do you do that? When you do your prescribed duties and without any material desires. That's what is being told. The last sentence says, without any material desires. Whatever form you are in, whatever way of life you are in, you can, start Krishna consciousness. There is no prerequisites. There is no qualifications for this. All you need to do is start, following a 4 regulative principles, start having a guru, start chanting, start participating in activities and services, for Krishna consciousness. You can do it at any position of your life, right? So in 9.32, Krishna is telling anyone, women, Vaishyas, merchants, Shudras can approach me with supreme destination. It does not matter what one position is, right? Whatever is the occupational duty. But if you have the direction of spiritual master, his life is successful. So that's why our ultimate goal should be to take shelter of a spiritual master. With our own endeavor, we cannot reach Krishna, right? See, Krishna is like a big powerhouse, where, say, for example, there is a thermal power station. Power is produced intensely there. or hydro power station, and we are at the home, we cannot directly access the power from a power source. You need to have a step down transformer, and then a step up transformer before you transmitting the energy, and then again it has to come to the house. There's a transformer again, step down again at the house, and then it's converted into 220 230 volts. Only then you can access the power. And the Guru Maharaj acts like the transformer, which puts the philosophy so that the human beings, us, can take it, and they give the guidance, so you don't get a shock, right? It's very difficult to directly access the powerhouse. So Guru is the via media, right? Via media, helping us to go back to Godhead, and they give all the instructions on how, being in the material world, being in the form where we are in, being in the way of life we are in, being as a grihastha, how you can go back to Godhead. You don't need to be only a brahmachari to go back to Godhead. You don't need to be only sannyasi. Every path of the life, every varna and every ashrama can go back to Godhead, showing, continuing the path of Krishna consciousness, following the instructions of Guru Maharaj without material. If we get rid of material desires, can go back. And the next few slokas, examples of Narada Muni himself is given, how he attained Krishna, right? We wanted an example, right? Without the example, it's difficult for us to understand. So let's see how Narada Muni followed this path. Text 68, translation. Can somebody read the translation, please?
Hare Krishna, can I read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation. O King Yudhishthira, because of your service to the Supreme Lord, all of you Pandavas defeated the greatest dangers posed by numerous kings and demigods. By serving the lotus feet of Krishna, you conquered great enemies who were like elephants, and thus you collected ingredients for sacrifice. By His grace, may you be delivered from material involvement. Hare.
Hare Krishna. Can somebody else read the purport, please?
Not
Prabhuji.
reading, I can read.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Perfect. Placing himself as an ordinary householder, Maharaja Yudhishthir inquired from Narad Muni how a Griha Mudha, a Griha Mudhadhi, a person who is entangled in household life and who thus continues to remain a fool, can be delivered. Narad Muni encouraged Maharaja Yudhishthir by saying, you are already on the safe side because you, along with your entire family, have become a pure devotee of Krishna. By Krishna's grace, the Pandavas conquered in the battle of Kurukshetra and were saved from many dangers posed not only by the kings, but sometimes even by the demigods. Thus, they are practical examples of how to live in security and safety by the grace of Krishna. Everyone should follow the example of the Pandavas who showed how to be saved by the grace of Krishna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is intended to teach how everyone can live peacefully in this material world and at the end of life return home back to Godhead. In the material world, there are always dangers at every step. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. Nonetheless, if one takes shelter of Krishna without hesitation and keeps under the shelter of Krishna, he can easily cross the ocean of nescience. Samashhritaye pallavaplavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare. To the devotee, this great ocean of nescience becomes like a puddle of water in the hoofprint of a cow. A pure devotee, without embarrassing himself by trying for elevation in so many ways, stays in the safest position as a servant of Krishna, and thus his life is eternally safe without a doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Narada Muni further it is telling the Yudhishthira, oh, by the way, Yudhishthira, you and our Pandavas are all safe because you're already in the path, right? You don't need to worry, right? You already defeated the greatest dangers posed by kings and demigods. You defeated, you conquered great enemies, which are like big elephants. And then thus you collected the ingredients for sacrifice, right? So by Krishna's grace, you will be delivered from material environment. So he is giving assurance to Yudhishthira that, because Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired about how a gruhamedhi, gruham modhadhi, a fool, a householder fool can get out of this, he asked. So Nardamuni is assuring him, no, you don't worry, Yudhishthira, and all of you are pure devotees now, because you are Krishna was there with you all the times, and you listened to him, you understood him, and you served him in the way he wanted you to serve you, like how you all upheld the dharma by doing this battle, right? Even though there was little bit hesitation by Arjuna in the beginning, after Bhagavad Gita is given, Arjuna rose to the occasion and took care of everybody in the battlefield, right? And he upheld dharma, right? So Narada Muni is telling you and your entire family are pure devotees of Krishna, so you're on the safe side, right? You have, with the help of Krishna only, you conquered the battle of Kurukshetra, and you have been, also helped in many places where the greatest dangers were there, right? Lakshagraha, all those places, right? And even by some demigods, whenever there are also dangers posed by demigods. Everywhere, Krishna was there with them, and that's why Kunti Maharani says in her prayers in the first canto, Lord Krishna, if that is the only way you have to be with, you will be with us. Please give me more troubles, give me more tribulations. Right? That is the prayer of Kunti Maharani, because Kunti Maharani is thanking Krishna in the first canto, saying that you are there with us all the time. From the beginning, you never left us. You were always with us, helping us throughout all tribulations. So if that is the case, Krishna, please don't leave us. Give us more troubles. Is the prayer, right? That is giving. Yeah, and Krishna consciousness is teaching us there will be troubles in life. Just because we became devotees or at least became sadhakas, it doesn't mean that tribulations won't come to us. They will come. But what is special for us is that we will get the strength to get over those tribulations. Right? Whatever feels like a Mahambudhi, a samsara sagara, now because of Krishna consciousness understanding, it becomes a small puddle of a calf's footprint. Right? Mahabhavasagara will become a small calf's footprint where we can cross over very easily. Right? That means we are going to get a higher understanding of the problems. That's what it means, right? Where we are at a lower level understanding, everything becomes big. All the problems that we encounter every day to day, they all become big, because they all look at big, magnifying glass, and we worry about them a lot. We get anxious, we get tense, we get angry. But once we understand the Krishna consciousness, once we understand the philosophy, we raise above this plane at a higher plane, and that plane tells us what are real problems of life, what are bigger things here, what are the things we need to do, how we get rid of this cycle of birth and death, what is temporary, what is reality, right? Once we know all those things, right, all the problems become small. So this is one question that keeps coming to us, me and Suma, in every satsang, right? People who come newly, we tell them, okay, keep chanting, read, come to classes, understand Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. One question they all ask is, what is it for me? Why should I do it? Right? What is the benefit? How do I know that this is going to help me? Right? Because they're all thinking in the same terms of like, I need to lose weight. And then I do some exercise, I need some diet, I lose weight, right? There is a result. The question comes to the same way for Krishna consciousness. What is the result? What is the benefit for me? Right? And the answer typically I give is that you become a better human being, right? You become a better employee, you become a better husband, you become a better wife, you become a better father, you become a better son, right? You don't need to specifically read books and books and books on philosophies of how to become a better employee, how to become a better father, how to do parenting of kids and all this. So we don't need to do all that. Just like how you put water on the root of the entire plant is nourished. Once you become a devotee, or at least try to become a devotee, or in this path, you become a better human being. Your anxiety will be less. Your anger will be less. Your tensions will be less. Because you know that, you're in the path of Krishna consciousness. You know that you have a shelter of a Guru Maharaj. And you know that you are trying to do your best in this path. Even a smallest endeavor in this path will remove the greatest danger of life, right? That we understand, and we see that, right? So even great devotees, they undergo a lot of tribulations, but they have the mental strength to overcome them, and we have prayers to really help us, right? So that is the benefit of becoming a devotee. Right? So a pure devotee, without embarrassing himself by trying for elevation in so many ways, stays in the safest position as a servant of Krishna, and thus his life is eternally safe without a doubt. Right? So Krishna says many times, many places in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, once you become a devotee of mine, Name Bhakta Pranashyanti, they will never fall down. They will never fall down. So you will, this is always beneficial. There is no diminution. There is no loss in this path. Clearly, Krishna says. At least you'll be born as a person in a family who is aristocratic, who is well off, so that you can start your Krishna consciousness again in case you fail in this life at a very safe stage. Otherwise, if not, God knows what life you will have and how you have to struggle even to get food or shelter. Right? Krishna assures that. So this is all, we are in the safe hands. Prabhuji's Mataji's, congratulations to all of you. And this path is always giving you the safe journey, right? You just need to continue at it, continue our sadhana, and go back to Godhead. 69. Can somebody read the translation, please? This is the story of Narada Muni.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Translation. Long, long ago, in another Mahakalpa, millennium of Brahma, I existed as the Gandharva known as Barahana. I was very respected by the other Gandharvas. Purport. Lilananda Muni is given a practical example from his past life. Only during the previous lifetime of Lord Brahma, Narada Muni was one of the dungeons of Gandharva Loka. But unfortunately, as will he explained, he fell from his exalted position in Gandharva Loka, where the inhabitants are extremely beautiful and expert in singing, to become a Sudra. Nonetheless, because of his association with the devotees, he became more fortunate than he was in Gandharva Loka. Even though cursed by the Prajapatis to become a Shudra, in his next life he became the son of Lord Brahma. By the words Mahakalpa is described by Srila Madhvacharya as Ata Brahma Kalpe. Brahma dies at the end of a life of many millennium of years. The day of Brahma is described in Bhagavad Gita 8.17. Sahasra Yuga Parayantam Ahar Yad Brahmano Vidhu Ratrim Yoga Sahasranam Tu Te Ho Ratra Vidho Janaha. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Bhagavan Sri Krishna can remember incidents from millions of years ago. Similarly, his pure devotees like Narada Muni can also remember incidents from a past life millions and millions of years ago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Narada Muni started telling about his own story and how he is a Gandharva in his previous life, and how he fell down because of his ahankara, right? And Prabhupada is also telling about how he remembers all these things, right? Pure devotees and Krishna, they can remember things from millions ago, right? And then here it is also mentioned the time scale, right? In 8.17 is the time scale of Brahma. What is duration of Brahma's day, duration of Brahma's night, 100 years of Brahma, the life of Brahma, right? And Brahma is temporary, right? And after 100 years, the Brahma dies, a new Brahma comes, right? That is also explained here. That's why it is told that Brahma Bhavanar Loko Punaravartate Arjuna. Everybody from the Brahma to the smallest ant has to rotate in this cycle. So he is telling us to get out of this cycle, right? So I'll go a little fast here because we are running out of time, because these slokas are self-explanatory. We'll just read the purports because it's a story. Can somebody read the next translation and purport, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I
Please.
had a beautiful face and pleasing, attractive bodily structure, decorated with the flower garlands and sandalwood pulp. I was most pleasing to the women of my city. Thus I was bewildered, always feeling lusty desires. Purport. From the description of beauty of Narada Muni when he was one of the denizens of Gandharva Loka, it appears that everyone on the planet is extremely beautiful and pleasing and always decorated with the flowers and with the flowers and sandalwood. Upabharana, Upabharana was Narad Muni's name previously. Upabharana was specifically expert in decorating himself to attract the attention of women, and thus he became a playboy, as described in the next verse. To be a playboy in the life is unfortunate because too much attraction to women will lead one to fall into the association of Shudras, who can easily take advantage of mingling with women without restriction. In the present age of Kali, when people are Mandas Sumanda Mataya, very bad because of the Shudra mentality. Such free mingling is prominent. Among the higher classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, there is no chance for the men to mingle with the women freely. But in the Shudra community, such mingling is open because there is no cultural education in the age of Kali. Everyone is spiritually untrained and everyone is therefore to be considered Shudra. Ashuddha Shudra Kalpa Hi Brahmana Kali Sambhava. When all the people become Shudra, certainly they are very bad. Manda Sumandoyo Mataya. Thus, they manufacture their own way of life. With the result that they gradually become unfortunate, Manda Bhagyaya, and further they always disturbed by the various circumstances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Narad Muni is very beautiful, and he was having very lusty desires because he thinks very beautiful, and he became a playboy, it seems, right? Prabhupada is drawing conclusions in parallels in Kali Yuga that Kala Shudra Sambhava, everybody in Kali Yuga is a Shudra because mentally, right? Because we men and women mingle very freely, without marriage. Because in Shudra community it is very free, right? And because we are not spiritually trained, right? It's that is why and Manda Sumanda Matayo, our intelligence is very low, right? There is no spiritual intelligence, right? And this is unfortunate, right? And and they directly, this is bad, right? This is very, very bad is what he's telling. And he's saying we should erase from this mentality and understand this. And actually it's drawing parallels, but more of a story about how Narada Muni fell down, but still how he got up is what you want to talk about. 72, 71. I'll read the translation. Once there was a Sankirtana festival to glorify the Supreme Lord in an assembly of demigods, and the Gandharvas and Apsaras were invited by Prajapatis to take part in purport. Sankirtana means chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The Hare Krishna movement is not a new movement as people sometimes mistakenly think. The Hare Krishna movement is present in every millennium of Lord Brahma's life. And the holy name is chanted in all the higher planetary systems, including Brahma Loka and Chandra Loka, not to speak of Gandharva Loka and Apsara Loka. Sankirtana movement that was started in this world 500 years ago by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore not a new movement. Sometimes because of our bad luck, this movement is stopped, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his servants again start the movement for the benefit of the entire world, or indeed the entire universe. So looks like there is a Sankirtana movement that was called by Prajapatis. Because Gandharvas are good at music and Apsaras are good at dancing, they've been called to conduct this movement, right? That's a story. But Prabhupada is telling this Sankirtana movement is not new. It's been there in every millennium. As just like Prajapati is called for Sankirtana movement, that's how you can see that in Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started the Sankirtana movement, right? Sometimes it is stopped by some people, but it still continued, right? And this is the largest movement so far that is running continuously, right? But why is it done for? It is done for the entire benefit of the entire universe, entire world. So next one, translation. Narada Muni continued. Being invited to the festival, I also joined, and surrounded by women, I began musically singing the glories of the demigods. Because of this, the Prajapatis, the great demigods in charge of the affairs of the universe, forcefully cursed me with these words. Because of you have committed an offense, may you immediately become a Shudra, devoid of beauty. Purport. As far as Kirtana is concerned, the Shastras say, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. One should chant the glories of the Supreme Lord in the holy name of the Supreme Lord. This is clearly stated. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, one should chant about the glory of the Vishnu, not any demigod. Unfortunately, there are foolish persons who invent some process of Kirtana on the basis of demigod's name. That's an offense. Kirtana means glorifying the Supreme Lord, not any demigod. Sometimes people invent Kali Kirtana or Shiva Kirtana, and even big sannyasis of the Mayavadi school say that one may chant any name and still get the same result. But here we find that millions and millions of years ago, when Narada Muni was Gandharva, he neglected the order to glorify the Lord, and being mad in the association of women, he began to chant otherwise. Thus, he was cursed to become a Shudra. His first offense was that he went to join the Sankirtana party in the company of lusty women. And second, other offense was that he considered ordinary songs like cinema songs and other such songs to be equal to Sankirtana. For this offense, he was punished with becoming a Shudra. So this is a little bit higher philosophy, right? What is this Narada Muni telling here? Two offenses I made. One, I was in the company of women. Second, I started glorifying demigods. Right? What does this mean? Right? Whenever we do Sankirtana or Bhajan, it is told that we should only glorify Lord Krishna, which is the highest of all, right? Taking the name of demigods in the Kirtana is an offense. That's what is being told here very clearly. So we should be very careful when we do Kirtanas, because when we do Sankirtana of Lord Sri Krishna, all the demigods are happy, because they are all happy that their Lord is being praised, right? In front of them, if we praise them and do Kirtana, everybody is happy. And when is Hanuman happy? Hanuman is happy when we do Ram Bhajan, right? Not his Bhajan. Right? He will come and sit wherever we do Ram Bhajan. Just like that, all the demigods are appointed by Lord Krishna to do their duties, but they're all advent, sold out devotees of the Lord, and they'll be very happy in front of them if we praise the Lord. And that is what we have to do. Otherwise, it's an offense. That's what is being told here, right? 24, translation. Although I took birth as a Shudra from the womb of a maid servant, I engaged in the service of Vaishnavas who were well versed in Vedic knowledge. Consequently, in this life, I got the opportunity to take birth as a son of a Lord Brahma. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says in Bhagavad Gita 9.32, Mam hi pardha vyapashrita vyapashritya yepi shuya papayono striya vaishyas tadha shudras tepi yanti paramam gatim. O son of Pratha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas and merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. It doesn't matter whether a person is born as a Shudra or a woman or a Vaishya. If he associates with devotees repeatedly or always, sadhu sangena, he can be elevated to the highest perfection. Narada Muni is explaining this in the relation to his own life. The Sankirtana movement is important for regardless of whether one is Shudra, Vaishya, Mlecha, Yavana, or whatever. If one associates with the pure devotee, follows his instructions, and serves the pure devotees, his life is successful. That is bhakti. Anukulyena Krishna Anusilanam. Bhakti consists of serving Krishna and his devotees very favorably. Anyabhilashaya sunyam. If one has no desire other than Krishna, to serve Krishna and his devotees, then his life is successful. This is explained by Narada Muni through this practical example of his own life. So what was he cursed as? He was cursed as a Shudra. So what is Narada Muni is telling? if you take shelter in me, whatever birth you take, women, Vaishyas, Sudras, right? You can approach me. Perfect example is Narada Muni. The next life he is born as a boy in a Sudra family. But because he got association of sadhu Sangena, he got elevated and he got self-realized, right? The Sankirtan movement is important for regardless of one is Sudra, Vaishya, Mlecha, Yavana, whatever country they belong to, whatever nature they belong to. If you have association of devotees, if you follow the directions of a guru, then his life is successful, bhakti, right? Anukulena Krishna Abhilashanam. Only thing is you have to be favorable to bhakti. And Anyabhilashita Sunya. There should not be any other desire. There should not be any other desire than serving Krishna. Then his or her life is successful. The process of chanting holy name of the Lord is so powerful that by chanting, even householders, grahasthas can very easily gain the ultimate result achieved by a person in the renounced order. Maharaj Yudhishthira, I have now explained you that the process of religion. This is the confirmation of Krishna conscious movement. Anyone who takes part in the movement, regardless of what he is, can gain the topmost result achieved by perfect sannyasi, namely Brahmajnana, spiritual knowledge. Even more important, he can advance in devotional service. Maharaj Yudhishthira thought that because he was Grihastha, there was no hope of being liberated, and therefore he asked Narada Muni how he could get out of the mental entanglement. But Narada Muni, citing a practical example from his own life, established that by associating with devotees and chanting Hare Krishna mantra, any man can, in any condition of life, can achieve the highest perfection without a doubt. Right? This is the perfection of life, without a doubt. Right? Self-explanatory. I'm continuing. My dear Yudhishthira Maharaj, my dear Maharaj Yudhishthira, you Pandavas are so fortunate in this world that many, many great saints who can purify all the planets of the universe come to your house just like ordinary visitors. Furthermore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is living confidently with you in your house, just like your brother. Purport. Here is a statement exalting a Vaishnava. In a human society, a Brahmana is the most respected person. A Brahmana is one who can understand Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, but hardly ever can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita as Param Brahma. A Brahmana may be extremely fortunate in having achieved Brahmajnana, but Pandavas were so exalted that Parabrahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was living in their house like an ordinary human being. The word Bhuri Bhagaha indicates that Pandavas were in the still higher position than Brahmacharis and Brahmanas. In the following verses, Narada Muni repeatedly glorifies the position of Pandavas. Narada Muni is telling Yudhishthira, don't worry. Why are you worried? The Parabrahma, Supreme Personality of God is with you all the time. He's staying with you. He's like, living like your brother, being there with you all the time. So there is nothing to worry about for you. You always are with him and you are in the elevated position, right? You are in much better position and he is glorifying all the Pandavas for their fortune, right? How wonderful it is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Parabrahman Krishna, who is sought by great sages for the sake of liberation and transcendental bliss, is acting as your best well-wisher, your friend, your cousin, your heart and soul, your worshipable director and your spiritual master. Purport. Krishna can become the director and spiritual master of anyone who is serious about getting the mercy of Krishna. The Lord sends spiritual master to train a devotee, and when a devotee is advanced, the Lord acts as spiritual master within the heart. Tesham satyuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted and worshipping me with love, I give the understanding by which they can become to me. Krishna does not become the direct spiritual master unless one is fully trained by his representative spiritual master. Therefore, as we have already discussed, Lord's representative spiritual master should not be considered an ordinary human being. The representative spiritual master never gives away any false knowledge to the disciple, but only perfect knowledge. Thus, he is a representative of Krishna. Krishna helps as the guru or spiritual master from within and from without. From without, he helps the devotee as representative, and from within, he talks personally with the pure devotee and gives him instructions by which he may return to back to Godhead. So Krishna is telling, I am sending my representatives to all of you as spiritual masters, right? And that is outside. Inside, I am being in your heart, guiding you all the time. With both of these things, right? You can easily go back to Krishna, is what he's saying, right? He's dwelling by constantly devoted to me and by worshipping me. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give you the knowledge. I give you the understanding in which you can come to me. He is the one who is giving the buddhi to all of us, right? So, taking the shelter of spiritual master is important. And once you do that, only once you do that, and after doing that, Krishna is going to guide you from inside. Without that, you're not going to get the mercy of Krishna. It's very clearly told here. So you should never consider, you should first of all take a shelter of Guru Maharaj, and you should never consider your Guru Maharaj as an ordinary human being. He is a representative of God. You should worship him like God. Right? Translation. Present here now is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose true form cannot be understood even by great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. He is realized by devotees because of their unflinching surrender. May the same Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of his devotees and who is worshipped by silence, by devotional service, and by cessation of material activities, be pleased with us. Purport. Lord Krishna is not properly understood even by such exalted personalities as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. What to speak of an ordinary man? By his causeless mercy, he bestows the benediction of devotion upon his devotees. Who can thus understand Krishna as he is? Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavan yas chasmi tatvataha. No one within the universe can understand Krishna in truth, but if one engages in devotional service, one can understand him perfectly well. This is also confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 7.1. Mai asakta manapardha yogam yunjan madashraya asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnanasya tachrunu. Tachrunu comes many times in Bhagavatam. Tachrunu means like hearing. Now here, tachrunu, now here is the word. O son of Pritha, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Lord Krishna himself teaches how one can understand him perfectly well, without a doubt. Not only the Pandavas, but everyone who sincerely accepts the instruction of Krishna can understand Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is. After instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj, Narada Muni prays for the Lord's blessings, that he be pleased with everyone, and that everyone become perfect in God consciousness and return home back to Godhead. All right? So again, self-explanatory. 29, translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Maharaj Yudhishthira, the best member of the Bharata dynasty, learned everything from the descriptions of Narada Muni. After hearing these instructions, he felt great pleasure within his heart, and in great ecstasy, love and affection, he worshipped Lord Krishna. Purport. It is natural that when someone belonging to one's family circle is understood to be very great, one becomes ecstatic in love, thinking, oh, such a great personality is our relative. And Sri Krishna, who was already known to the Pandavas, was further described by Narada Muni to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naturally, the Pandavas are amazed, thinking the Supreme Personality of Godhead is with us as our cousin. Certainly, their ecstasy was extraordinary. So now, the conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni is over. Now we are taking up above, because this is being told by Sukadeva Goswami. This story of being Narada Muni telling Yudhishthira Maharaj is being told by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Right? What he is telling? That is how he had the instructions, and he got great pleasure to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and he worshipped Lord Krishna. Right? And then Pandavas, all of them felt so happy because they felt that such a great personality is in a relative, right? As we feel, right? And the Supreme Personality of God is our cousin, right? That is so extraordinary. Is what they taught. Is what Sukadeva Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj. 79. Narada Muni, being worshipped by Krishna and Maharaj Yudhishthira, bade them farewell and went away. Yudhishthira Maharaj, having heard that Krishna is his cousin, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was struck with wonder. Purport. After hearing the conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira, if one still has any doubts about Krishna's being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should immediately give them up. Asamsayam Mangaram, without any doubt and without any defect, one should understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus surrender to his lotus feet. Ordinary persons do not do this even after hearing all the Vedas, but if one is fortunate, although it may be even after many, many births, he comes to his conclusion. Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. Why this is being told here? Because people like Duryodhana never understood, never agreed that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he's roaming around in that area like an ordinary human being. Many people in the Upper Yuga also thought him as like a, Yadu, who is always with cows and always with gopis and gopikas and a normal human being. They never understood the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why in these slokas it is stressed that, with all these evidences, Narada Muni is telling that, you are with Supreme Personality of Godhead. You don't need to worry about anything. Even the Pandavas know that, because of this extra confirmation from Narada Muni, they're very ecstatic and exalted, thinking that, oh, wow, wonder. He is our cousin. Right? With this, nobody should have doubt. Nobody should have a doubt. And, ordinary persons who doesn't do it are very unfortunate, right? And it will take, for people to really understand this, it will take many, many, many births. To understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, Krishna himself says that, to agree to that. For people, it takes Bahunam Janmanam Ante. You can see that, very clearly in the satsangs. So many people come with so many understandings. For them to get convinced on KC, it takes forever, right? It is a long time. And you can think that they have taken births many, many times to come to this point of coming to satsang, understanding it. It's not easy, right? It's not easy. So last sloka of Canto 7 and this chapter, translation. On all the planets within the universe, the varieties of living entities, moving and non-moving, including the demigods, demons and human beings, we are all generated from the daughters of Maharaj Daksha. I have now described them under different dynasties, right? So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of 7th canto, 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. Completed on the night of Vaishakhi Shukla Ekadashi, the 10th of May, 1976, in the temple of Panchatattva, New Navadvipa, Honolulu, by the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Thus we may happily chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. End of the canto. So Prabhupada wrote this special thing. I'm seeing this. This is typically not written any places, but he's telling where he wrote this. He wrote this canto in Honolulu, in Hawaii, in 1976. He wrote which tithi and which date it is, right? So thus, in the purports of 7th canto by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Next canto is Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations. We'll take it up in the next session. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Sorry for taking a little bit more time, but I wanted to complete this canto so that we can start new canto for next week. Thank you very much for attending this session and giving this opportunity for reading Bhagavatam myself as well. Any supporting comments, reflections, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful class.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class.
Wonderful class, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Shilpa Mataji, we can conclude the class today. Hare Krishna. Panchakaltrabhyascha, Krupasindabhya Chapatanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namanam Ananta Koti Vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.